Blacktivities is a Black Panache original production, a podcast network with a lineup of Black-hosted shows sharing Black stories and tackling Black issues. For more information on shows like our newest production, Fat Lies Matter, visit blackpanache.com. Links are in the show notes.
I'm big on respect. Like, you will never, thou shalt never, not in my house. The foundation was, no matter what, we got to fight out in this world. And so when you're here, there's going to be peace.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Lisa.
And you're listening to Blacktivities,
a celebration of all things Black.
Black culture, Black history,
Black perspectives, and Black panache.
Celebrating our Blackness doesn't mean exclusion.
Everybody's invited, but you gotta come in and have a seat.
So let the Blacktivities begin. Welcome to Blacktivities Podcast, your Black History Connect to the Culture. We are your host. I'm Shannon. She's Lisa. And she's Karen, aka KK.
Mona Lisa here, and I want to be the first to talk about Black parenting today and how it's some BS in some cases, okay? The fear of mama's hand kept me in check, and now me having to look at other people my age sideways when it comes to their parenting is a trip. You ever been popped so hard you can't scream or speak? Have you? Now, I know it's frowned upon now, but it was just something about that reminded me to chill out, okay? That fear disguised as not some sense into you needs to be brought back. But anyway, could this be why parenting is so different? Why kids act the way they act nowadays?
Before we get into all that, I just want to let you know that we want to hear what you think about this topic. We do read and sometimes share your comments. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave us one below. Or you can follow us on IG or Facebook. We're on both. We are at Blacktivities Pod. And there's a link for that in the show notes, as well as links to our individual pages. So, KK, what
big facts
do you have for us today?
Today's information is coming from care.com, and it's an article titled, How Gentle Parenting is Allowing Black Parents to Reframe Old Narratives. And that can be looked at in a positive or negative way, depending on your opinion. And I want to just jump to the part that talks about how history has shaped Black parenting. So Dr. Mia Smith Bynum was interviewed in this article, and she talked about when she was asked what she felt was a common narrative about Black parents, it was, we don't play. And what most people often neglect to consider about this narrative is the why. The backstory is that it is steeped in fear and trauma and racism. Black parents didn't play and maintained a strict parenting style to prepare their child for dealing with white America. They wanted to instill in their child, if you play, you can get killed, says Dr. Maria Smith Bynum, professor of family science and health at the University of Maryland School of Public Health. Bennett also says that society sees Black parents as violent. For this reason, the tide is changing among modern parents. And with this shift, we're seeing a desire among parents to create new narratives around Black parenting and what it looks like. Today, there's a new wave of Black parents actively parenting away from the old narratives in many ways. Parents are practicing and sharing about gentle parenting as a way to heal generational trauma and reframe the common narratives and ideas about Black parenting and expand the conversation. How history has shaped Black parenting. People parent the way they were parented, says Dr. Smith Bynum, which is not about race. Unfortunately, For some, parenting from a place of survival or fear became the norm in some families and was handed down to other generations. Black parents who tended to be stricter and use corporal punishment as part of their parenting style had concerns for their child's safety, says Dr. Smith Bynum. She goes further to say that mistakes that Black children make outside their parents' care, especially during the Jim Crow era, generally have greater consequences. And unfortunately, that's still true today. No parent wants their kid to be the next Trayvon Martin, she added. Black parents who tended to be stricter and use corporal punishment as part of their parenting style had concerns for their child's safety. But Smith Bynum also says it's important to dispel stereotypes that paint strict parenting as abusive. Black parents had to be stricter, but the misconception is there was no warmth. Black families tended to blend high levels of strictness with warmth and engagement.
That's interesting.
Do y'all agree? I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get into that because one of the questions I want to ask is about how history plays a role in Black people's parenting styles. But first, I want to know, what is your parenting style like compared to your parents when they parented you?
So for me, in the beginning, it was, well, when I had my first kid, because I was young, it was more like, it was just me and her. This is kind of like my friend. And then as she become older and started to test the waters, I took on my mother's and my father's approach on being strict because that's what I knew. So unfortunately, my first two children was called, we joke about it now. We call it the experiment. You know what I mean? Whereas now I'm not as strict with my youngest daughter, and things that happened to me when I was little, I want to make sure, and I vowed that I don't ever want my children to experience that, hence my learning and having a kind of different style than my parents. So whereas we're laying hands, I don't even remember the last time I even like laid hands on my children. More or less, it's just me. I'm communicating with them why the decision that they made might not have been a good idea, and then asking their opinion, which some people may not. But I feel like it's important that that child knows that their opinion matters, because growing up, if you feel like your opinion doesn't matter, then that will, kind of, it kind of alters what decisions you make as you become an adult. So I have to say, when it comes to my parenting style, I mean, I still put it on there like I don't play. Don't test me now. But I draw the limit to where they know that I'm still mama. I'm not your friend. But I still want to make sure you know that you have a home, a stable home you can come back to while you're discovering the world yourself, and that you do have someone to talk to. And also there for them mentally, financially, because again, I want to set them, make sure they're set on a stable foundation before they take off into this world. So
I love that. For me, I'm a my house, my rules parent. And for the sake of clarity, I am a bonus parent and I'm an adoptive parent because I have kids who adopted me. And it was interesting because we really didn't have to have the kids 24/7. But when we did, we were very intentional about my house, my rules, and very intentional about I'm the woman of this house. And also very intentional about you have a voice, but it's still my house, my rules. And it's especially important for me to, because I'm the bonus parent, I have an advantage because the biological parents get a lot of the pushback and then they'll come to me and all I have to do is just reinforce what they say. I just use some different words or I use a different analogy. And then it seems to be because, you know how kids are. They want an answer. They want the answer that they want, and they want it from the parents. But sometimes the grandma, the auntie, or somebody like that. And as a bonus parent, I got to fulfill that role, which has been amazing.
Do they push you to where you got to talk between your teeth? I said
I
situation.
ain't never had to do that.
Like, is it that far? What?
I ain't never. I just say, Nate, I give the look. I'm the look parent. All I got to do is look at you. Hold on,
Yeah.
wait, what? That's the look.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
See, that's that beginning part where you got to talk between your teeth, like to let them know you standing on business, and then you graduate to the look.
gotta let them know.
You know what I'm saying?
But the amazing thing was, I didn't really have to do a lot because my husband and his ex-wife were amazing at co-parenting. So my role wasn't as extensive, and I got to have fun and have some difficult conversations and introduce things, and I really allowed them to be who they are. So it's my house, my rules, but just I don't care. So what? I don't care about a few cuss words. I don't care about some things. Little minutia. Like when we grew up, you couldn't say the word lie. Somebody told a lie. You had to say this person told a story, and there was all these rules. Don't walk in here while I'm having a conversation, and don't speak till you're spoken to. I didn't do that to them. I wanted them to know your voice matters. Your voice matters. I may not agree.
Yeah, at a certain extent, it was just like, like speak when spoken to. I understand that. And we having a conversation, but you need to figure out when it's a good idea to give that, because sometimes it can come off as, disrespectful. Especially, I'm big on that when grown folks talking. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And dismiss yourself.
I'm big on respect. Like you will never, thou shalt never. Not in my house. The foundation was no matter what, we got to fight out in this world. And so when you're here, there's going to be peace. We always made a point of having a meal together through that time. It was like one meal, and we just chopped it up about everything. And I enjoyed that a lot.
I think that my parenting style is similar to my parents. I didn't really get in trouble that much.
Oh, so you trying to say we bad, basically. We were bad. Because we got pop.
No. My personality now was like my personality then. So I'm kind of just quiet and chill. But like you guys, I have more conversations with my kids because I want that line of communication to be open. And I don't want them to feel like they have to hide something from me. And I kind of look at parenting like I'm here to be their guide because I can't live their life for them. So I try to, like when things happen, use those as teachable moments and say, you need to think about this, but more so as a guide, because I'm not perfect either. I mess up. So just guiding them in their growth. So let's talk about history and how that plays a role in Black people's parenting styles. I think immediately about slavery and the beatings that we received and how that in some ways transferred to disciplining our kids. Because every time I hear like an older person talk about getting spanked, it was like we got beat. Right. And in some cases, they really did get beat more than just like a spanking. So I feel like that kind of played a role historically. And also something that you mentioned to Karen, and what you said, like our kids had to behave during Jim Crow era and all that, because if they went out and they didn't misbehave or they played around, like you said, they could be killed, like literally. So it's like you take that and pass it down to generations. It's like naturally the parenting is a little more stern and a little more strict.
Right.
And it was justification behind that. Emmett Till happened not that long ago. That was in the 50s. That wasn't that long ago. And so when you think about what happened to him, in our society. And he was a kid. He was just having fun visiting his family in Mississippi and wound up dead because despite how we raise our children, they still are kids. The consequences are different now, but it's still volatile. We still raise an endangered species out here, particularly our sons.
Yes.
Do you think that there are cultural and ethnic differences that influence parenting styles versus other communities of people?
Yes.
And why you had to ask that question?
Yes. I'm going to just say this and I'm going to let KK take over because I know she has a very good point on this one. But yes, I feel like it does play, it plays a major part and it influences the parenting styles. Whereas Caucasian parents, they just basically setting their children up on a stable foundation, right? Whereas we have to mentally prepare our children, even though it's not fair, we have to mentally prepare them and show them that they are different. They may be treated differently and then talk to them on how to handle those situations. The same with Hispanic and other ethnicities. So I feel like, yes, it does play a major part when it comes to, different parenting styles. And not to say that, Caucasian people may not, but the history speaks for itself when it comes to our children.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a difference because I was in a conversation not too long ago talking about the talk. And I said, oh, we got the talk before we went to the store. You go in the store, you hold hands, you don't ask for nothing and don't touch nothing.
Let me tell you what I used to tell my kids. Let me tell you, when we go in here, you touch with your eyes. That's what I used to tell them. And to this day, even though that they're older, my oldest, she about to be 22, and my 18-year-old, when we go somewhere, they jokingly look at me and say, when we get in here, you touch with your eyes.
I love Lavelle Crawford when he talked about that on his comedy special.
Oh, wow. Oh, I got to see that.
It's true. Lavelle Crawford is hilarious. Yeah. I'm going to have to find that clip. But it is a thing with parenting because our consequences are different. Our consequences are dire. If you think of, and I want to say his last name was Crawford too. Maybe it was John Crawford, but the brother who was in Walmart and went in, he was in the gun area, picked up a gun, and somebody said he was threatening, and he was just on the phone. And the police came in and killed him. I mean, this is real. So again, another incident or instance of why our parents said and did the things that they did because they knew. And yes, some of that does carry over. But I also feel like there's a reason the way we parent, you don't see a lot of disrespect. Now, some of this new stuff, I can't speak to that. But you were not going to say certain things to your mama, and you were not going to do certain things in front of your mama.
You know what?
And even to this day,
I can't cuss in front of my mom and daddy. I still don't. As old as I am.
And you grown.
As old as I am.
Yep.
I can't. I still, even at work, I have like older customers come in and I'm saying, yes, ma'am, no, sir. And even, oh, don't you call me? I'm sorry, but unfortunately I was raised in the South and that's something that I was taught to do. So either you going to accept it or go on. You know what I'm saying? So.
And not calling people by their first name.
That is well.
Miss Lisa, Miss
And
Shannon,
that's what I do.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I do.
It's you. There's no way you're going to do that. And I think raising our kids with that level of respect is important.
What problems do you guys have with Black parenting today?
Kids are not getting the attention that they need. We're slacking when it comes to our parenting, especially when it comes to education. And I can say I had a hard time with this, especially here recently. This is a great example. My youngest daughter, she was having a hard time in math. So I tried to help her. And baby, I don't remember any of that stuff. So I just broke down and was like, we were able to reach out to a family member who is a teacher that is going to be assisting her. But think about parents who don't pay attention to their kids when they're having a hard time like that. And the teachers do reach out and the parent snap back and wants to cuss the teacher out when all the teacher is doing is trying to spread awareness because the teacher cares. It's not like teachers get paid a whole lot of freaking money. It's because they care. So I'm gonna tag that into my call to action when it comes to parenting. But I feel like that's a big thing, something we need to pay attention to. Stop being so damn sensitive and trying to, you ain't finna tell me how to raise my child when you're not even raising them.
Amen. I can definitely speak to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not at the school that I teach at right now, we're not the majority. So I be wanting the parents to like step up and do better.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they let me down. I'll reach out, won't hear nothing, but take a phone though. Oh, you don't hear about that phone.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm saying this because I was there. Like my older two children, they were like straight A students, so I didn't get many calls and things from the teacher. But let me tell you, the youngest one, baby, if you was to go and Google "buck the system," her picture would pop up. Okay. And that's why I say, it's like I had to take a different parenting approach when it came to her, because something we need to recognize is children handle things differently. I have 3 girls. I talk about them all the time. They are my world. And each one of them, they're different. So I had to figure out a way of mastering and approaching certain situations different ways, because they react and they respond differently to things. But with my youngest, like there was a situation one school year where I allowed her to take a Swiss roll cake to school. And of course, the teacher, I feel like they didn't have that connection. And I can tell that she did treat my daughter differently. So, of course, I was extra sensitive about it. So, best believe when my daughter came home and told me that at snack time, the teacher looked at her, took her Swiss roll cake and threw it away. I'm like, hold on, I paid money for that. I stopped and let her buy that. She finna hear from me. So, of course, I set up a conference. And I'm sitting there, and it was yes, she apologized. She said, I do apologize for that, as I felt like that wasn't a healthy snack. And I said, I totally understand it, but I allowed her to have that. And then we started talking about her grades and, the things that she do. And it was an eye opener to where I had no business like setting a conference for a Swiss roll snack. It should have been way more than that. So that made me open my eyes to what exactly my child is doing and pay attention. And when she come home from school, asking more questions. And when I say asking more questions, open-ended questions to make them talk. Because if you look at the kid, like, how was school? Fine. What y'all do today? Oh, we did a bunch of different stuff. No, ask them, what did y'all do? Well, show me what you did. And that's where it's amazing, because that brought upon like her where she's struggling in math. We got to sitting down together looking at it. And I'm like, this don't make sense. And then I got my boyfriend in and he looking at it. Next thing I know, and this happened last week, an hour and a half went by and we were still sitting there looking at all of her work and just debating, going back and forth, watching YouTube videos. And I was kind of proud, because think of kids who parents that don't ask them, how that went, and did not get that amount of time to where they were sitting down and actually looking through the assignment. And she's watching me and him debate about it. And she's like, no, y'all wrong. And then she's showing us. And I was like, okay, that made me feel good. And so from that, it was just great to have eye-opening experiences when it comes to parenting. As old as I am, I'm still learning stuff. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's perfect. And that's something else that we need to just make sure we understand. Nobody's perfect.
And our parents were learning when they raised us too. It's
yes, we was experiments
right.
too.
Yeah.
We was experiments
That's
too.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
All
glad though
us.
that you said you had that realization, because we talk to parents all the time and they swear up and down they don't see this at home. That can't be their child. But they don't want to listen to us and what we're seeing and experiencing.
Because when those kids go home, and I'm not saying this is all of them, when those kids goes home, when they eat dinner, they're probably just sitting at the table by themselves with their phone. And the mama's off doing something, doing chores, doing whatever. They have games, so they're in their room by themselves most of the time. So they're not going to see, they're not going to know that child have a problem focusing, whereas the teacher can see that they have a child having a hard time focusing and finishing the assignment. All that parent knows is, why you ain't doing your work? You need to sit down and do your work and cuss the kid out. And then the parent goes off on her social media realm, TikTok videos, twerk or whatever. Not saying all parents do that, but I'm just giving you an
Yeah,
example.
you said twerking. She in the living room twerking.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
but
headlights.
it's
Some of 'em do.
interesting. It's interesting that you say that, because my quarrel with parenting has to do with the village. Don't ask me to be part of the village when your child goes missing or they get into trouble.
There is no village anymore.
Well, that's part of
That's
the
true
problem.
too.
But when they get in trouble, there could be, if people weren't so telling you, don't tell me how to parent. That's the role of the village. That's the role of elders and neighbors and all of this, because it does take a village, especially if there's one parent in the home, male or female. If there's a single parent in the home, they need community. They need the village. They need the teacher. But if you telling the community, if I see your child and somebody is touching your child inappropriately, or they dressed in a way that you would not accept, and I say, look, put a jacket on, that tube top, it's 30 degrees outside. And then you get mad. Don't tell my child to put a jacket on. Well, when they get pneumonia, that's on you. Or if they go missing, don't ask me to be part of the village if I couldn't tell them to put a jacket on because it was cold outside, or it was an outfit that you wouldn't approve. So put a hoodie on or whatever. You can't cherry pick what the village's role is.
Yeah.
You cannot cherry pick that. And so that's my current quarrel. I'll be the example. I'll do things the way that I feel I'm supposed to do it. And hopefully your child is watching, because clearly nobody wants you to say anything to their child, even if it's to their benefit.
Well, I want to share this with y'all. Many years ago, I used to be a pre-K teacher for the military, and I would find that because there was parents, both of them dual in the military, in the army. Majority of that day, their kid was with me. So I, especially when new kids were coming around, I would let the parent know, listen, now I'm serious. I treat your kid like my own. If they doing something they ain't supposed to do, I'm gonna let them know, hey, that's not right. And then I'm gonna redirect them to something else. In which that's what the daycare would have us, or that place would have us to do, is redirection. Okay. We didn't put our hands on them kids or nothing like that. That's a big no-no. And I wouldn't have never put my hands on anybody else's kids. But what I found was the way that I was talking to the children, I built a bond. And to this day, on my Facebook, I'm watching these kids who are now like in high school, and it's crazy because they were my babies. You know what I mean? But we had a routine. We had a schedule. I would say, okay, well, who's helping me get the tables ready for breakfast this morning? And I would tell, okay, well, you go do this, you go do this. And keep in mind, these are pre-K kids, but they knew what to do. They were wiping and cleaning the tables off. After we eat, they would help clean the tables up. They knew it was time for nap. We ain't have no kids hollering and screaming, because I say, look, it's time to rest our bodies. That way we feel better when we get up. They go potty, they lay down on their mat. At the time, and my friend Nisha Bean, she my friend to this day. She's a director right now for one of the child development centers. But we had an R&B playlist that we would put on. So we'll have like some Kenny G playing when they laid down. But then when it was time to wake up, we put on this R&B playlist, right? And back then, years ago, I did not realize Miguel had music then. He was on that playlist, okay? So we'll just put the music on, and the kids will slowly start waking up. And I'm like, you get up and stretch. They'll come and lay on my lap for a little minute. And then I tell them to go potty. They go potty.
Aww.
Like, we didn't have kids falling out,
Sweet.
acting crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't. I treated them like they were my own. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. When they get up from their nap, we comb their hair. We put lotion on them. Girl, listen, when them parents go pick their kids up, they be greased the hell up. You hear me? Even the little Caucasian kids, we had a little hair suit to the side. Everybody had their own comb and brush in their cubbies, okay? Like, we treated them like they were our own. This one little girl, she would not let her mama comb her hair. She said, Miss Lisa, do it. So her mama had to bring her hair bows and a hair bow box and put it in her cubby. and I would have to comb her hair in the morning. So she had a little spray bottle with water, and I would comb her hair in the mornings. So it's just all about that nurturing feeling. Huh?
I said I would have been
What you
like,
say?
yes, Miss Lisa, please.
I ain't messing with your daughter hair, that girl. Y'all, Shannon, baby, her children got some hair on their head. You hear me? But it's that nurturing feeling though. That's what it is. That nurturing feeling that make them understand. It ain't make them feel like, make them understand that you care. And then you'll get a different response on how they act.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I teach much like what you describe as well. I'm in the middle school area. My kids are really trying to figure it out. They don't know whether they want to be babies or they want to be grown. And they, at the same time, think they know everything. So I think what really helped me to be a better teacher is actually having my own kids. As a younger person teaching, I didn't understand that. But now I'll tell them, I treat you guys like I treat my own kids. So if I need to pull someone aside and have a conversation because I just saw you do something in the hallway, I'll have a real conversation with them and tell them some things they might need to think about, or that they shouldn't do this because of this reason. But I try to explain. Now I will. You talked about the teacher throwing away your girl's snack. I've thrown away some snacks before, but it was not because they were not healthy. It was because I already told you that we don't eat in this classroom, and you got it out, and I gave you a warning, but you still eating it. So now I'm going to take it,
See,
and I'm going to be petty, and I'm going to dump all them chips in the trash can so you can't get the bag out.
but see, that's the thing.
Yep.
And that's the only reason
Yep.
why I said at the conference, because I'm like, it was, because I asked Avery the same, what you just said. I said, was you eating it? Was you not supposed to be eating it? She said, no, it was snack time. I said, oh, hell no. I got on Class Dojo. I was like, Miss blank, 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 blank. We need to set a time because, and then I just left it at that. And we set up a conference, and I asked if the principal could be there as well. And the principal did. He was like, yeah. He was like, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's not being healthy. And I said, I agree with that, but that's what she had. And it was a treat that I allowed her to have because I was rewarding her for something she had did like the previous day. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not something she had every day.
Yeah. But some people may not like the way that I teach because I'm going to push your child if they're in my class, because I'm going to push them, not because I'm trying to be hard or mean or whatever, but I'm pushing them to their full potential because I want them to be their best self.
The problem is they not used to Joe Clark. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Yes.
But it's interesting that both of y'all were like, you've had these experiences and you make it clear, I'm going to treat you like I treat my own. And that is the village.
And there's love in that statement.
Mm-hmm. There's love in that. There's love in that. And just like in that
but
article.
Some people don't look at it like that.
But
though.
Just like in that article, it says, although there was strictness, there was warmth. This is warm. This is engaging. What's crazy is there's this picture that I know Kevin Fredericks, Kev on Stage, talked about it too. But it's been going around the internet lately. And it's just this picture of this sausage on this piece of white bread. And if that ain't love, if we don't remember that in our culture, you know what I'm saying? That, and, there'd probably be some Kool-Aid or some kind of juice or something with it. But the fact that your parent or whoever your caregiver was laid that out for you, that's love. That's love. And that's what parenting is all about, the little things. It was the combing of the hair. It was telling the kids up front, like you said, they're in middle school. They don't know which direction they want to go. And I remember one of the things for us, we never really, it's like, oh, I got to get up earlier because my dad insisted that we have breakfast. And in the winter, we had hot cereal. We had bacon or sausage, eggs, toast. This is every morning. And then he got up and he would cook on Sundays before he sent us off to church. And the thing about the breakfast was my dad always said, he said, when I grew up, we were hungry a lot. He said, I'm not going to send my kids to school hungry because you can't learn on an empty stomach. And for that reason, and in the summer, we were allowed to have cereal, but we still had sausage, egg, toast, cold cereal. You know, in the winter, it was hot cereal, sausage, egg, toast. Weekends, it was pancakes and French toast and whatnot. But that's Black parenting, even from a strict parent. There was that love and that warmth that said, look, this is what you did. I don't like it. You getting a whooping, but come on down here and eat. You still got a home. You still got food. You still got a warm bed. And there was warmth and nurturing that also paralleled that corporal punishment or whatever they want to call it. But that was love. That was love.
Yes.
And what y'all give these kids is love. And a big concern, because I was at Denver Human Services during COVID, I worked for human services. And our concern was a lot of those children only eat at school. And a lot of those children, you have your mandatory reporters at school. And during COVID, when they're home, you don't have your mandatory reporters. That might be the only meal they get. And now from COVID, they go home and they don't necessarily have that. So I wanted to say that because it's a misnomer that there was no love attached. We felt that love in the community, in the neighborhood or whatever. You felt that. And I feel that from y'all. And that's what we have to realize. You can gentle parent, but don't bastardize the old way of parenting, because there was love there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if I can really quick, I think I've shared this before, but KK, based on what you said, it made me think about a poem that pops up every year when school's about to start, and it's called "'Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." I end up meeting the author of this poem and not realizing it was him. My best friend, her coworker was having, I think, like a promotion party, and a lot of the people was there. And, I spoke, talked to him a little bit. And then later on, I was telling my best friend about it. And she was like, you met him, right? And I was like, who? And she told me, and I was like, oh my God, I did not know him. I know that it was him. But I just want to share this with you guys really quick, okay? It's called "'Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." It's by Joshua Dickerson. And I'm hoping that maybe we can get him on the show. That would be really dope. So I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. Dug in a dirty clothes basket because ain't nobody watched my uniform. Brushed my hair and teeth in the dark because the lights ain't on. Even got my baby sister ready because my mama wasn't home. Got us both to school on time to eat us a good breakfast. Then when I got to class, the teacher fussed because I ain't got no pencil. Isn't that wild?
It is.
But that pops up every year when school's about to start. And I just smile. I'm talking about, he wrote this years ago, but he plays a major part of the Boys and Girls Club of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. Like he plays a major part with nonprofits. He even tours and does different like type of things. So I'm hoping that we can get him on maybe.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can talk about, maybe children and teaching. That could be a great topic.
That is incredible, and snaps for that, because girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we are running out of time.
Uh-oh.
But
Okay.
there's some other things that I hope when we post things that people will comment on. Some things that I had written in my notes, like education is not a priority, but, they got all the latest clothes and the new Jordans and everything. And then these parents that are coming up to the school and threatening to fight people or jumping kids and stuff like that. I hope somebody will comment and start a conversation about those types of things. Maybe it's because the parents are young themselves, but let's move on to Lisa's pieces.
So this piece is titled "Mother May I." Mother, may I? Yes, you may. Daddy, guide me? Of course he can. See, there's a way for guidance from both leading a path far more than the world assume assumptions. But in order to lead, it's a must we mentally heal. Leave room to live life before deciding the factors of boring children. Before the mind is stabilizing decisions, be fair. Fairly remember, it's not about you anymore. It's about your future generation. Mistakes do happen and God is forgiven, but it's up to you to decide if you want your offspring to be ain't shit ass people.
All right. So that brings us to the call to action for the culture. What are you calling the culture to do? Let's start with Karen.
So there are three things that come to mind when I think about our culture and what could propel things forward in a good way. The first thing, I really think people need to be cognizant of when they are creating families, that you have somebody that you are creating a family with that has the same values so that the two of you can work together in your home, hopefully, to create a healthy family with healthy guidelines, not just making poor decisions and not being thoughtful. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when you do have family that we bring back because everybody's busy and life is lifing. But I would love to see one of the things that was effective for us really become part of the norm again. And that is taking one day, even if it's one day a week, one day every 2 weeks, whenever y'all get paid or whenever, to have time at the table where everybody's there because it was so effective and so important for me to bond with my bonus kids and then for us as a family to be able to connect. Like nobody's perfect, but it helped with connection and conversation. It's easy for them to talk to us now because of that. Just that simple thing of taking an hour or so, 2 hours, even if the conversation got good, but to be at the table together. And then the final thing is to understand that the village is here to help you and not to harm you. You can pick who's in your village. Everybody is not allowed in the village, just like everybody is not allowed at the cookout. But if you put people in your village, put people in your village that you can trust, that you don't feel like you got to fight. Have your favorite folks and just trust them to know and put people who are trustworthy in the presence of your children and listen to what they say and allow them to offer input and impact on their young lives.
I totally agree. But also, starting out before you again bring children into this world, make sure that you are in tune with who you are. And if you're not ready for kids, come on, y'all. Take the steps in not bringing kids into the world. Okay. That's that right there. That's major. But once you do become a parent, please don't look at this as corny. But watch videos, like read books. Like as much as y'all may think that it's crazy, it's not. Like educate yourself. That way you can decide what your parenting style is like.
That part.
Even like do like little support groups. And again, some people may think that it's corny, but have your children be around other kids where they don't have social anxiety. And talk to them. So just take those extra steps in being a great parent, if that's what you really want to be. And don't be closed-minded, because how can you teach your child if you aren't open for yourself?
I'm calling everybody to ask yourself, where do your priorities lie? And what are you teaching your children, directly or indirectly? Because a lot of things get taught to kids indirectly. What they see us valuing is the message that they get. So that would be my call to the culture, but also to everybody. Just like think about what am I teaching my kids in the way that I act and the things that I say? Because oftentimes those parents that are coming up to the school and cussing teachers out, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Have to agree.
I am also calling the culture to follow us at Blacktivities Pod.
Y'all knew it was coming.
Subscribe to our podcast and engage with us on social media so we can continue these conversations. I feel like these are real conversations that we need to be having within our community, not just who's dating who and who did something trifling.
Right.
Celebrities or whatever.
If you talk about Krishan and Blueface, I'm blocking you. I'm sorry.
All right, let's close this thing out, Lisa.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. And come on, y'all, we want to hear from y'all. We appreciate y'all. King and queens keep doing big things. Let's go.